Dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good morning. Welcome to the 11th Regional Forum for Health, Wellness and Spa Tourism, organized by the Health, Wellness and Spa Tourism Cluster Serbia and supported by the Central European Initiative Corporation Fund and the Ministry of Trade, Tourism and Telecommunications. We are pleased to welcome speakers and participants from 10 countries, Central European Initiative member states. Today, our hosts are representatives of cluster members. Ms. Nataša Ranitović, the President of Health, Wellness and Spa Cluster Serbia. Professor Dr. Milica Lazović, Institute for Rehabilitation, Belgrade. Mr. Slaviša Jovanović, Sales Manager in Prolom and Lukova Spa. Professor Dr. Marko Gašić, in charge for marketing activities in Planinka. Ms. Tamara Petrović, Marketing Manager in Planinka. Ms. Jelena Perić, Sales Manager in Hotel Fruške Terme Vrdnik. Mr. Peđa Filipović, owner of the Wellness Academy Peđa Filipović. Now, I'm inviting Ms. Ranitović, the President of the Health, Wellness and Spa Cluster Serbia, to address the forum.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you on behalf of the cluster to our 11th forum. We are grateful to the Central European Initiative, the Ministry of Trade, Tourism and Telecommunications, and the European Spa Association for their support to organizing the forum. We are grateful to Mr. Knežević, the State Secretary for Tourism, for his support to our event. Mr. Knežević, thank you for joining. I'm taking this opportunity to welcome 16 reputable speakers and all participants from 10 European countries, members of the Central European Initiative. The main topic of the 11th Forum is sustainable development of rural and health tourism in line with the best practices of European leaders and the latest trends, taking into account the impact of COVID. The essential question for us is how to rebuild tourism, specifically rural and health tourism, for the future in times of COVID. Today, we'll offer solutions. We will be focused on opportunities for rural and health tourism recovery in the region. We need to understand how tourist demand is changing, how to update, and what strategies to adopt to transform challenges into opportunities. For that reason, our guest speakers will present recovery concepts and programs for development of rural health tourism in COVID and post-COVID times. A special session will be dedicated to the Corona recovery concept in European medical spas and health resorts. The concept will be presented by the Secretary General of the European Spa Association. I invite participants to take an active part in the discussion. Let's find today the best solutions for the future. Once again, thank you for joining. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ranitović. Please allow me to invite Dr. Knežević, the State Secretary for Tourism in the Ministry of Trade, Tourism and Telecommunications, to address the forum.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is my pleasure to greet you on behalf of the Ministry of Trade, Tourism and Telecommunications. Because of media, I will speak on Serbian. Poštovane dame i gospodo, dragi gosti, dragi prijatelji, moje zadovoljstvo je da vas pozdravim ispred Ministarstva trgovine, turizma i telekomunikacija i da zaista pre svega čestitam organizatorima da uprkos ovim okolnostima nastavljaju sa svojim aktivnostima i organizaciji jednog ovakvog događaja. Ne možemo da pričamo o perspektivama i u budućnosti, a da se bar na kratko ne osvrnemo na ono što je iza nas, jer evo, već sada smo u drugoj pandemijskoj godini koja je zaista ostavila velike posledice na sektor turizma. Kada pogledamo međunarodno tržište, vidimo da je 2020. godine prema podacima Svetske turističke organizacije bilo 74% manje turista u međunarodnom turizmu. Shvatamo da je to jedna od najtežih, ako ne i najteža godina za globalni turizam. Međutim, ono što u ovom trenutku nama daje nadu i zapravo poziva na optimizam jesu upravo neke projekcije za naredni period. Ali bez obzira kakav scenario posmatramo i za koju projekciju se opredelimo, postoje neki preduslovi koji su neophodni da bismo imali normalizaciju putovanja i da bismo mogli da imamo očekivanja od rezultata u turizmu u narednom periodu. Upravo jedan od tih preduslova jeste imunizacija i vakcinacija. Ako mislimo da nastavimo da se normalno krećemo, da se turistički promet vrati na one koloseke na kojima je bio ranije, neophodno je zaista da se taj proces sprovede maksimalno i mi zaista, kada pričamo o Srbiji, imamo takve rezultate da smo među najboljima u svetu i u Evropi kada je reč o broju vakcinisanih i revakcinisanih i zaista zahvaljujući predsjedniku Republike, zahvaljujući predsjednice vlade imamo i dovoljno vakcina i neophodno je zaista da nastavimo dalje sa tim trendom da se vakcinišemo i da se pored vakcinacije i dalje u nastavku svog svakodnevnog funkcionisanja pridržavamo svih mera i protokola. Naravno, da kada posmatramo rezultate u našem turizmu u prethodnoj godini, kada pričamo o nekim predstojećim aktivnostima, vidimo da upravo i ruralni turizam i velnes i spa turizam, koji jesu tema današnjeg događaja, su pokazali u prethodnoj godini da zaista Srbija ima izuzetno kvalitetnu turističku ponudu i ove turističke proizvode koji su se u poslednjih nekoliko godina dinamično razvijali. Pa smo imali situaciju da u prethodnoj godini baš i uprkos pandemiji COVID-19 imamo povećani broj turista u seoskim turističkim domaćinstvima i ono što je možda još važnije, ostajali su duže nego ranije. Njihov prosečni boravak više nije bio 2 ili 3 dana, nego između 5 i 7 dana. I ono što je neophodno dalje raditi na afirmaciji zaista ruralnog turizma i naravno nekih drugih oblika turizma, pre svega u smislu gradnje nekih novih smeštajnih kapaciteta, autentičnih smeštajnih kapaciteta u ovim područjima i verujem da će to biti jedna od tema današnjeg foruma. Sa druge strane, kada pričamo o velnes i spa turizmu, zaista naše banje se u poslednjih godina intenzivno razvijaju. Uspeli smo da napravimo neku transformaciju ka nekom savremenom konceptu u smislu ne samo lečenja, nego prevencije, poboljšanja sportsko-rekreativnih i psihofizičkih sposobnosti i zaista naše banje su, pored velikih investicija koje je imao privatni sektor, pre svega u izgradnji hotelskih smeštajnih kapaciteta, ugostiteljskih kapaciteta i drugih komercijalnih kapaciteta, i mi smo kao resorno ministarstvo i Vlada Republike Srbije ulagali sredstva pre svega u izgradnju turističke infrastrukture, u izgradnju dodatnih turističkih sadržaja kako bi gosti koji odlaze u naše banjske centre zaista kvalitetnije provodili svoje vreme i naravno duže se zadržavali. Mi smo početkom marta predstavili strategijski marketing plan do 2025. godine koji je Vlada Republike Srbije usvojila, koju je kreirala nacionalna turistička organizacija i upravo u tom strategijskom marketing planu jesu obrađeni svi turistički proizvodi koji su od posebnog značaja za razvoj turizma, gde su i pomenuta dva, dakle i ruralni turizam i velnes i spa turizam, ali ono što je još važnije, identifikovane su ciljne grupe i jasno određeni načini buduće promocije i obraćanja turistima sa onih tržišta koja su nama posebno važne. I sigurno da ćemo koristeći savremene informacijone tehnologije i digitalnu promociju usmeriti naše aktivnosti u narednom periodu kako bismo, čim se okolnosti srede u smislu pre svega rešavanja ove epidemiološke situacije, bili spremni i dočekali spremni turiste u našim banjama. Takođe moram da kažem da pored velikih napora koje smo imali pre svega kao Vlada da uz podršku turističkoj i ugostiteljskoj privredi koja treba da prebrodi ovaj period, smo aktivno radili i na tome da budemo spremni za naredni period i da pored intenzivne komunikacije sa predstavnicima ministarstva drugih država u smislu protokola i usaglašavanja budućih kretanja, radimo i na tome da se kroz protokole i organizaciju mera i ponašanja svih onih koji rade u sektoru turizma i ugostiteljstva spremni dočekamo budući period. Pomenuo bih projekat Clean and Safe koji smo zajedno sa Horesom i naravno našim partnerima iz Evropske unije imali pre nekih 20 dana akciju u kojoj smo podelili velike količine dezinfekcionih sredstava, različite opreme koja će se koristiti u narednom periodu, a u smislu poštovanja svih pomenutih mera i naravno sa namerom da spremni dočekamo post-covid period. Ja sam siguran da svi zajedno, naravno uz nastavak ovakvog trenda vakcinacije možemo spremni dočekati narednu letnju turističku sezonu i sigurno je da su naša očekivanja da ćemo zahvaljujući tome polako početi da se vraćamo na one pozicije koje smo imali kako na domaćem, tako i na međunarodnom turističkom tržištu. Svim učesnicima danas želim puno sreće u radu i da i zaključci današnjeg događaja i današnje konferencije sigurno budu takvi da svima nama omoguće da se u nekom narednom periodu, osvrćući na njih, i dalje bavimo razvojem turizma. Hvala najlepše.
Thank you, Mr. Knežević. And now, Mr. Jovanović.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to announce our first lecturer, someone who has dedicated his career to health, wellness, and the concept of spa tourism. A recognized international speaker, an excellent writer of books dedicated to wellness and spa, and someone who is with Serbian Wellness Cluster from 2010. Our first keynote speaker, Mr. Mike Wallace. Mike, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me. Okay, first of all, I'd like to say sorry I can't be in Serbia. Going to Serbia is one of the highlights of my year. And I'm just going to turn off the translation. I don't know if you can all still hear me. Can you all still hear me? Thank you very much. I could hear some feedback with the translation, so I've just turned that off. Yeah, so going to Serbia was one of the highlights of my year. And I'm actually a vegetarian, but not when I go to Serbia. When I go to Serbia, I eat all the meat I can see, the sausages, the pork, and everything. And unfortunately today, that's not going to happen because obviously this conference is virtual. So I wanted to talk a little bit about fantasy and reality. Fantasy. When you go on the landing pages of a typical European health spa website, you see beautiful, healthy women in jacuzzis. You see sophisticated, luxurious treatments. People outside looking incredibly fit. But is this the reality? In my experience, it's not. When you go to a typical European spa, you're likely to be surrounded by a lot of seniors, older people, and a lot of very noisy families. And they're all not really there for the health. They're there to eat lots of food and just relax. So if we're being very honest, European health spas at the moment are less about health and more about leisure. There's also a limit as to the type of programs you can choose from. Basically, there are 4 types in my experience. Balneotherapy for physical rehabilitation, leisure, relax, and then maybe a diet or a slimming or detox program. Suddenly, COVID arrived, everyone went into panic, and then I started to see a lot of programs like respiratory recovery for long-term COVID sufferers, and immunity booster programs. So I went on the internet and I had a look at some of these programs. In one respiratory recovery program, they had a paraffin pack for your hands. I looked at an immunity booster package the other week, 3 nights, 6 treatments, a couple of mineral baths, a massage, and an inhalation therapy. While you might feel much better after those 3 days, it's not going to scientifically increase your immune system. So spas, if we're going to offer these programs, we have to look at the quality as well. So there's much more that spas can do than just leisure, relax, and balneotherapy. There's also much more to a market than just families and seniors. And really, if you go to most Central European spas, that's what you see. They're going for the same market. I'll just mention a few. Opals. That means older people, active lifestyle. You've got WOPs. The WOPs are mainly in Western Europe. They are your wealthy, healthy, older people. There's also a huge growing segment of older single women. But there are also lots of specialized groups, people that like yoga, people that like outdoor activities. Very interesting. In the Middle East, they advertise Tel Aviv as the gay Mecca of the Middle East. It's not the gay Mecca of the Middle East. But the reason they do that is not because they are LGBT friendly. They know that gay people, particularly gay couples, have no children and a lot of spending power. They want the money. And what about millennials? Millennials like stimulation, they like experiences, they like lots of variety. They won't just be satisfied with a few treatments and lying in hot water over a weekend. So there are a lot of other markets out there that spas can start to investigate. But they have to ask themselves the question, who do we want our guests to be after COVID? And what can we offer them and what do they want? So going back to COVID, I'm sure like me, all of you have been locked up in your apartments. You've moved less, we've eaten more, we've drunk more alcohol. I think my weakness is red wine. I drink double the amount of it than I used to. We've all spent more time on social media, but we've also had more time to think. We've had time to think about and question and reflect, where have we been putting our energy? We've really had time to evaluate our lives. Anxiety and stress levels have risen. Mental health at the moment, this is the buzzword of 2021. I don't know if anyone here saw the Meghan and Harry interview, but she was going on the whole time about her mental health, her mental balance. He, I think last week, has gone on to be the CEO of a mental wellness organization called Better Up. So mental wellness, mindfulness, these really are the buzzwords of 2021. There's the silent spa in Austria. It's a Thermaler spa in Austria. I don't know if anyone's ever been to it or seen it. It's an amazing concept. Beautiful thermal pools, amazing design, all designed for deep relaxation. No digital devices are allowed, no children. They were ahead of their time. They built this, I think, 5 years ago. They really saw where the trend was going. So what are people going to want in the future? According to a marketing expert, I just read an article that he wrote. We want to get out of our cities. We want to get out of our apartments. We want wide open spaces. We want freedom. We want beauty. We want scenery. We also want to spend time with our loved ones. So people will be looking for locations that are accessible, that you don't need to worry whether the country is going to be an orange or red zone, where you don't need to worry about a PCR test and updating your immunity passport. They're going to want to go to places that are safe and hygienic. I read a very good article in the BBC not so long ago, and they said actually masks and the hygiene standards that we have today, they're going to be around for a very long time. They're not going to go away. We've also become very socially sensitive, particularly to crowds, not just because of the virus. I was in a supermarket recently, it was very busy. I started feeling very uncomfortable. I'm not worried about getting the virus, just we're not used to having crowds of people around us. We find it uncomfortable, or at least I do. So what are the advantages that health spas in Europe have at the moment? Firstly, they're domestic, they're close. You don't need to cross a border if you want to go to them. A lot of them, particularly in Serbia, are in very beautiful scenic locations. Clinical standards, hospital clinical standards of hygiene and safety. This is a really good selling point that spas can promote. Also, non-crowded accommodation. You don't have to stay in a big spa hotel. You can rent an apartment. You can get a suite. You can go to bed and breakfast. And if things do go wrong, there are medical staff on hand to help. So I see the product in the future we have to look at it a little bit beyond leisure and balneotherapy for physical rehabilitation. Lifestyle programs, mindfulness, mental wellness, these are all huge opportunities that we can maximize on. If we look at America, they have what they call destination spas. These aren't spas in nice destinations. These are complex resorts that offer a total integrated health product. There's one in Arizona. It's in the desert, and you don't stay in a hotel. They have chalets, which is very good in the COVID era. They don't just have spa, fitness, pool, and sports center. They've got a medical center, not just with traditional medicine, but alternative medicine as well. They have lifestyle centers with workshops and also spiritual centers as well. And I'm just going to read off some of the programs that they offer. And I hope our translator manages to translate these okay for me. Personal discovery is one. Optimal health, outdoor escapes, soul journeys, journey of your soul, lots of metaphysical treatments as well, hypnotherapy, meditation, mindfulness. They also mix art and photography with spa experiences and outdoor experiences. Life management classes is another one. So workshops and education and motivation to improve the quality of your life. These lectures and workshops are a central part of the spa experience there. They have workshops on relationships, workshops for women, workshops on how to manage life's challenges. They don't call it anti-aging or healthy aging. They call it celebrating aging. And they even have workshops, if you've got divorced or split up from your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you can go there to recover on a post-divorce camp. So that's the lifestyle mindfulness area. But what about the medical? I'd like to re-emphasize what I said earlier. There's more to balneotherapy than just rehabilitation for musculoskeletal diseases. Vrnjačka Banja in Serbia recognized this. They were clever. They not only do physical rehabilitation, they also have programs for diabetes. They're clever. No other spa is doing this. But if we look at the death percentages of the population in Europe, 37% of people die from circulatory diseases. That's your heart attacks, your stroke, your high blood pressure. 26% from cancers, 8% from respiratory diseases. If spas are clever, like Vrnjačka Banja, they will start to tap in to these other areas. Cancer is an interesting one because, as I'm sure most of you know, cancer and thermal water can be a contraindication. But there are lots of programs that thermal spas could develop for people post-cancer. Lifestyle programs, exercise, diet, getting people out in the open air. As I said earlier, that's what people want. They want to get out of buildings. I'm coming to the end of my long spiel. I just want to end by talking about mental wellness and the effect that the environment and also politics has on our mental wellness state. As we've seen, if we don't control the wellness of our environment, we get pandemics and we get climate change. And that has a huge impact on our individual wellness state. That's directly influenced by political leadership. And I don't want to get into a big attack on specific governments, but most governments knew a pandemic was coming. They weren't prepared, and they've muddled through the last year, and we've all suffered mentally and financially as a result of this. Governments that are corrupt, that lie, cheat, and steal, that are unethical, this has a direct impact on the people living under them. and under and in their mental and emotional wellness states. So my final message is we need to demand more from our leaders. Until we do, we can't achieve wellness in society. And it doesn't matter to how many spas we visit, how many massages we have, unless we start looking at the bigger picture and other areas of wellness, I don't think wellness will really come to us. So as a quick summary, more to spas than cure and leisure. There's more to a market than families and seniors. Mental wellness, outdoor activities and beautiful scenery, accessibility and hygiene, important key factors for the future. Spas can maximize on the opportunities by diversifying their product and also specializing, doing specific treatments and programs that no other spas are doing, particularly in the medical area. We should be looking outside Europe for inspiration, and we can't forget the importance of environmental and what I call political wellness. Just to finish off, I will be writing a book with all of this in it. I'm doing this at the moment with my wonderful colleague, Dr. Melanie Smith. And I've also, under the advice of Chilla, my very good colleague, I put one of my paintings, I also paint pictures. She said I must put it in the background to market my paintings as well. So thank you very much, everyone. And if anyone's got any questions, I don't know if now is the time to answer them or later, but I will leave that to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Okay, Michael, we do have a few questions. You said in your presentation that we present ourselves different than we really are as a spas or wellness centers. So why do you think is that? Are we scared to present ourselves as we are as spas, or?
I think obviously you want to portray yourself in the best image to attract people to go there. But I think it's sort of become a trend. People in the hotel and spa industry look at what all the other spas are doing in terms of marketing and copy it. And so what we've come up with now, or what we've arrived to the situation where we are presenting one thing on our websites, but actually when you get there, it's something different. And I think spas should, rather than look at what everyone else is marketing, i.e. beautiful women in jacuzzis, look at what they do different and focus on that and highlight that.
Okay. Do you think that spas should be more spas and less wellness centers after the COVID?
Do you mean when you say spa medical?
Yeah, spa medical, the places for rehabilitation and for getting your health better.
I think it depends on the concept. So I think the uniqueness about European spas is the medical product. I think it's got dusty and a bit old-fashioned. I think it needs to be revitalized. And as I said in my speech, I think spas need to specialize, like Vrnjačka Banja has done. They specialize in diabetes. And there is a place for both, because the two are interrelated. As to which balance to go for, it depends on the individual location. But the medical history of the European spa with its medical culture and history, this is something that we have to protect and develop and use in the future.
Okay, what is your opinion? Do you think that people in future will rather go on domestic destination, so it's a trend even in Serbia today, which are less far, rather than on some international destinations, so that the domestic tourism has a chance to get the domestic guests more than ever?
I think it's a huge opportunity. I do think people want to get out of their own countries, but at the same time, once you have to get your PCR test, update your immunity passport, think, am I going to a country that now has an outbreak of a new variant of COVID? These are all going to be obstacles for people. So I think spas domestically have a good footing. Although on saying that, most of the people I know are all booking holidays to Greece. That's one place I won't be going because it seems that everyone else is going there. So it's probably going to be could be a very dangerous hotspot. So yes, I think domestic locations, if they can offer something really exciting, can attract guests. And also remember that financially people don't have the money they did a year ago. I certainly don't. It's been very painful.
Yeah, and in one moment you said that the big hotels are the big hotels in danger today because of the crowd, or the hotels with less rooms and smaller accommodations will have better chances for the guests this year?
It's just my personal opinion. Yeah, I personally would not go to a huge 300-room hotel. I would rent an apartment. I would stay, if I was going to a spa location, I'd rent an apartment or go to a Hanzio or somewhere where I know that I'm not going to be in contact with less people. And also, as I said earlier, we become much less tolerant of being with lots of people. We've been on our own for a year. To suddenly go and be surrounded by hundreds of people, all busy and running around and sneezing over us, I don't think is something a lot of people, I certainly wouldn't like to tolerate.
And for the end, we have greetings from Mrs. Chilemens also. It said, thanks a lot for this important and honest information. You're great as usual. ESPA is in the same line with your opinion, and you have to offer diversity also by accommodation.
If I understand the question, does she mean that to have a diverse range of accommodation options? Yeah, absolutely. And some one positive area with spas, or one positive factor with health spa destinations, they have a lot of space. They're not like city hotels. You have suites. I mean, I ran a spa resort in Marienbad. I was involved in a spa resort in Marienbad. We had empty buildings we didn't use. So there is a way to space guests out in many health spa destinations and offer them a diverse range of accommodation, yes.
And also we have another question that is from Alina. She said, you point many interesting aspects. Do you think the industry is now in the point of rebranding? COVID-19 crisis could be turned in an advantage for the industry?
Exactly, that's why I wanted to speak today, to share my thoughts. I think if we look outside Europe, we start getting new ideas in and breathing new life into the product, I think it's a fantastic opportunity. If we carry on doing families, old people, leisure, balneotherapy, I'm not so sure. Particularly with the new generation of millennials. As I said, millennials, these are going to be the biggest demographic segment. They want variety, they want stimulation, they want excitement, they want lots of different experiences. And spas have to be ready for that.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mike, for your presentation and for the great information that we get. I wish you good health and to see you in Serbia next year, of course.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jovanović. Before the first session, we'll have a short time for relaxation. Mr. Filipović, a massage teacher and creator, senior psychotherapist, a pioneer of health and wellness tourism in Serbia, will present doing head self-massage with the goal of relaxation and mental, physical and spiritual balance. Let's join him.
Hvala. Danas imamo veliki pozdrav domaćinima i svim učesnicima foruma kao i svim divnim ljudima koji nas prate. Evo par minuta onako kako je lepo ući u stvari lagano u sve priče svakoga dana, pa između ostalog i u naše wellness programe. Mentalni wellness koji smo malo pre spomenuli i uopšte cela priča tog balansa fizičkog, mentalnog i duhovnog. Do-in tehnika je vrlo interesantna po tome što čovek može prosto dodirujući svoje energetske meridijane ili delove tela, ali apsolutno se fokusirajući na njih i biti stalno u dobroj koncentraciji sa njima, ne samo mehanički da ih radi, kada poveže sa disanjem, da izuzetno da veliki doprinos sebi da se vrati u to jedno divno i dobro stanje ravnoteže i da se nekako susretne sa određenim emotivnim situacijama i stanjima koje su naravno svakodnevno prisutne kod svih nas, pa su neke primarne, a neke manje naravno primarne. Vreme u kome živimo prirodno donelo je dosta nervoza u svakodnevnom životu, donelo je dosta besa, donelo je manje tolerancije prema sebi i prema drugima i onda ćemo se sad malo vratiti na tu priču kako sa par do-in najjednostavnijih vežbi da se samo malo koncentrišemo, opustimo i negde vratimo u svoj balans, a onda krenemo sa komunikacijom sa svetom. Duboko disanje je uvek najvažnije u svakoj priči, u svakom programu. Dakle, udahnem duboko, napunim svoje grudi, napunim svoj stomak, zadržim malo vazduh, 2-3 sekunde i polako, što sporije, izbacujem vazduh iz svog disajnog prostora. Uvek ću svaku vežbu u kojoj želim da se opustim krenuti sa vežbom dubokog disanja. Nakon toga ću se malo bazirati na ovu tačku ovde između obrva koju zovu treće oko ili čuvena ađana čakra. Ona je specifična, pored toga što je vezana za duboku intuitivnost i rad na sebi, sa refleksnom zonom glave, što znači da ima izuzetno svoje mesto u mentalnom opuštanju, ali sa druge strane, upravo ova tačka trećeg oka je povezana za energetski meridijan jetre. Jetra, kada uđe u situaciju određenog disbalansa u svome radu, kao i žučna kesica, dovodi često do emaniranja besa, odnosno ljutnje ka spoljašnjoj sredini. A moram da napomenem još ovaj detalj, da je upravo sada vreme proleća, drvo prema kineskoj tradicionalnoj medicini, odnosno vreme u kojem maksimalno rade jetra i žučna kesica, pa nije ni čudo da se često pojavljuju glavobolje, tenzije u delu vrata, u ramenima, određena raspoloženja i kako mi to kažemo kod nas u Srbiji, ljudi sa kratkim fitiljem, da ne udahnu dovoljno duboko, nego reaguju na jedan i onda prosto iz sebe izbace tu jednu vrlo specifičnu emociju. Dakle, postavim jagodice srednjih prstiju na treće oko i polako udahnem. Za vreme izdisaja radim par puta duboku, intenzivnu stimulaciju tačke između obrva. Ponovo, udahnem duboko i srednjim prstima opet radim duboku stimulaciju par puta tačke trećeg oka. Nakon nje postavim jagodice svih prstiju na čelo i duboko i dubinski radim masažu čela idući od centra prema slepo-očnom delu. Čelo je inače, kada se posmatra lice i mapa lica, mentalna konstrukcija naša, odnosno prezentacija mentalnog bića. Kada uradim dobru stimulaciju čela, dođem do slepočnica, zadržavam se na tačkama meridijana žučne kesice, koju sam malo pre spomenuo, koji rade sa jetrom, i nakon toga se duboko i dubinski bavim masažom skalpa, gde takođe radim jednu dobru stimulaciju meridijana žučne kesice. Sa jedne strane, sa druge strane, sa pokretima tapkanjem, jagodicama prstiju, spuštam se nazad, prelazim na vrat, što je jako važno, i nikad ne zaboravljam da ako želim da tu nekako svoje stanje opustim i da se vratim u mir, stimulišem i tačku na sredini trapezastog mišića, koja je takođe tačka meridijana žučne kesice. Znači, masiram svoje trapezijuse, opet udahnem duboko i za vreme izdisaja polako i dubinski radim istu stimulaciju. Ukoliko sam u poziciji da možda malo osjećam nervozu ili da mi možda malo radi želudac, neću da zaboravim ove ovde tačkice koje se nalaze na sredini jagodica u liniji zenica, pa možda i njih malo iskuckam, udahnem, za vreme izdisaja iskuckam tačke meridijana želuca, ponovo Duboko udahnem, opet lagano, mekano, fokusirano, iskucam meridijan želuca i te tačke nikada ne odvajam od tačaka koje se nalaze na sredini ispod ključne kosti sa jedne i sa druge strane. Ujedno povežem ih malo sa meridijanom pluća, odnosno fokusirano uradim masažu ispred zgloba ramena, na tim grudnim mišićima i uradim stimulaciju polako tačaka koje pripadaju meridijanu pluća, kako bi još lakše, lepše i onako sadržajnije disao i naravno još bolju lepotu poklonio svetu. Eto, hvala vam puno. Nadam se da će biti od koristi bar ovih par vežbica.